Hey everyone, it's Breelyn Van Leeuwen. You can call me Bree. I am a physician assistant, a PA, specialized in women's health and urologic surgery. I'm so happy to have you here. This is my second video regarding anything to do with being a physician assistant. I have other medical videos, but this is targeted towards my pre-medical, pre-PA students. I had such a great response to my last video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all your sweet comments and your questions. Hopefully I'm able to help some of you. Like I said in my last video, I didn't have anyone to really ask questions to or any kind of mentor to look up to. I didn't really know much about being a PA and I didn't know PAs to ask. So hopefully I can help any of you with questions the best that I can. Now this video is targeted towards helping you get into PA school. It is a very competitive game trying to get into a good PA program. I want to say two things that I want everyone to hear. If you quit the video after this, fine, but I want you to hear these two things. When you go to apply to PA school, the PA school has to be, one, accredited. There are some PA programs that are not accredited or who are at risk of losing being accredited. They're being reviewed because they didn't meet some standards. So make sure that your school is in good standing and it's accredited. And two, make sure that it's a master's degree of physician assistant studies. You should not be wasting your time getting a physician assistant bachelor's degree. Don't waste your time in the bachelor's of physician assistant programs. It is a waste of time. You will eventually have to go back and get your master's, so just do it right the first time. Get your master's degree right off the bat. Don't waste time doing it otherwise. Okay, those are the two things I really wanted you to hear. Now, I want to give you a few stats just so that you understand how competitive PA school is. I went to Western University. It's in Pomona, California. This is their last year stats, okay? And it was very similar when I applied a few years ago. Oh my gosh, more than a few. Time goes by quickly. But the stats were very similar to this. In 2015, they had over 2,000 applicants. 400 of those people got interviews, which is a pretty good number actually. They interviewed quite a few students. And they only accepted 98 students, which is actually a pretty large class size. There are other schools whose class size is much smaller, 30, 40, 50 students. So this is a pretty large class size. But even with a 98 count class size, that's with 2,000 people applying, only 98 got seats. Competitive. It's very competitive. The overall GPA that was accepted into that class of 2015 was a 3.57. Their overall prerequisite GPA was a 3.67, and their overall science GPA was a 3.57. Were there people who had higher GPAs? Absolutely. Were there people who had lower GPAs? Absolutely. The trick here is that if you wanted to be an average applicant, your GPA would have to be somewhere around a 3.5. If you have a very high GPA, good for you. If you have a 3.8, 3.9, 4.0, you are going to have a much easier time getting in. There are still other things you have to do, but that sets you apart. If you are closer to the average or below average, you are going to have to do some things to set your application apart from all of the others, because even though a 3.5 and 3.6 GPA, especially taking these hard classes that you have taken or will take, even though that is a very honorable GPA, it's average. Unfortunately, that's just how competitive PA schools are now. So you will need to do things to set you apart from other candidates, because most of the applicants will be a biology major with a very good GPA of about 3.5 and some experience with direct patient care. So you're going to have to set yourself apart. Here is my overall recommendation to you. Whether you are a freshman in college or even a senior in high school, as soon as you know that you want to be a PA and that's the road that you're going to go down, maybe you're a senior in college and you've already done all of this, whatever stage you are at, as soon as you've made the decision to be a PA, your job, your homework is you are going to go online to a website that's called PAE Online. P as in Paul, A as in Apple, E as in Egg, Online. This is a website that will list all of the PA programs that are out there. From there are hyperlinks that you'll click on, and those hyperlinks will take you directly to the program's website, and there it will list all of their prerequisites that they require as far as coursework goes, direct patient contact hours, shadowing hours, and so on and so forth. You will pick your top 10 to 15 schools, okay? You're going to pick your top 10 to 15 schools, and then you're going to make yourself a really beautiful little flow chart. You can use a graph on your computer, write it by hand, whatever. You're going to make yourself a flow chart, and you're going to make a list of all of the schools you want to attend, and then what courses that school requires to go there. And then in a different part, you're going to list, okay, here's the school I want to go to, Western University. They require X amount of patient shadowing, direct patient contact hours. They require X amount of shadowing experience. They require these classes to be taken. I would not rely on someone. There's websites that you can go to where this is, all been done for you and all of that. I would not rely on that. Things are always changing. You don't know when the last time it was updated, and it would be very unfortunate if when you went to apply to a school, if you went online to apply and you didn't realize that you were missing 1 or 2 classes, or that you had some statistic wrong for their school. So I wouldn't depend on anyone else to do that. I would do it yourself. So of all of the PA schools out there, there's a lot. Pick your top 10 to 15 and mold yourself to those programs. Make yourself a very well-rounded, very competitive candidate where you are taking all of the necessary coursework, you're doing all of the extra things outside of classes to make you fit into whatever PA schools you really, really, really want to attend. The problem with PA schools is that they don't all have the exact same prerequisite list. There are some that are pretty universal, like general biology, general anatomy, physiology. You can pretty much guarantee those will be on any of your PA lists. But then there are schools like Western U who has a few random requirements, a certain kind of English class that you have to take. And there are some schools who require a certain kind of medical terminology course, and other schools who require a microbiology lab, and other schools that don't. And it's very variable, very variable. So basically you need to do the homework for yourself, pick your top 10 to 15 schools, and then build yourself for those schools that you're going to apply to. That's the number one place for you to start. Okay, my next tip to you would be, if you are an average applicant, or even if your GPA is higher than average, you need to have some direct patient contact hours. People are always asking me, what is the best way for me to get my direct patient contact hours? Is there a kind that you would recommend over another? Does this count? Does that count? The truth is, every program counts things differently. I can tell you in general, volunteering is, like let's say that you go and volunteer at a nursing home or as a candy striper or something like that. You can do that as volunteer hours, but many schools will not count that as direct patient hours, because they like to see paid patient contact hours, meaning that you carried a job and met all the requirements of a job and had that experience where you were getting paid to take care of a patient. That's very different than being, a volunteer a day or two a week and being there for a few hours. It's a very different thing. It's a very different look that the PA schools have. So having a paid job is always best. And then from there are also some types of jobs that a lot of PA programs won't recognize as direct patient care. For example, phlebotomy, a lot of PA schools do not accept as direct patient contact hours. Some do, but some don't. There are good universal jobs that I'll tell you about that most schools will accept. Being a certified nurse's assistant, a CNA. This is a course that you would take. Some colleges use it actually for college credit. A lot of places you have to take outside of your university. They offer it at training schools, tech schools. You could take it after school if you're still a high school student like I did. That's what I did my junior year of high school. I went after school from 3:30 to 6 or 7 a few days a week for a semester, and I got my CNA. So look in your area for opportunities for that, to get your certified nurse's assistant license. You take the coursework, then you take your licensing exam, and then you are a registered CNA and you can work and get paid. CNAs work in nursing homes. I worked in a nursing home until I was old enough to work in a hospital, so you're able to work in a nursing home. And then 18 years and older, you can then work at a hospital. And I did work at a hospital. I worked in a medical surgical floor at the University of Utah Hospital. And then I went to LDS Hospital and worked on the mother-baby labor and delivery floor, which was my favorite. It was a dreamy job. You got to rock and hold babies all day. Very, very good job. Anyway, the point is that if you're a CNA, that tends to be a very, very well accepted experience for direct patient contact hours, as long as you have a job and you're paid for it. Now, if I could have gone back in time and done things differently, I probably would have chose to become a medical assistant. It is a little bit more training, including phlebotomy training within the medical assistant license. I think it was a bit more expensive and a bit more in depth to get my training. And when I was a junior in high school, I wasn't thinking long term. But, you know, now looking back, I wish I would have gotten my MA. Medical assistants, like I said, can do phlebotomy training, which makes them ideal candidates to work in a doctor's office. That's where you get exposure to working with a lot of providers, from physicians to nurse practitioners to PAs, and that's where you'll meet a lot of the people that you'll end up shadowing and getting letters of recommendation from, and really exposing yourself to the future career that you want to go into. When you're a certified nurse's assistant, you spend a lot of time with the nurses. So that would be better geared towards someone who wanted to go to nursing school. And I think a medical assistant is someone that's better geared for someone who wants to go into, something to do with a provider aspect of medicine, like a PA or an MD or DO. So those two are very well accepted, a medical assistant and a CNA. EMT is a very good option. Paramedic is a great option. Nursing, I think if I were a freshman in college, I may have done the nursing route, because you get a nursing degree, you can get your bachelor's degree in nursing, and then go on to PA school. That's a great thing to do. That's a wonderful opportunity for you. And then when you go through nursing school, you actually become a CNA as you're going through the nursing program, because then you can start working as a CNA while becoming a nurse, and then you can work a little bit before you go into PA school and get a lot of different exposure. So that's a great route. You have to get a degree in something anyways. It might as well be geared towards medicine of some kind. So that's a great idea. And then, things like a PT tech, I think I already said paramedic, PT tech meaning physical therapy technician, anything like that. Again, I don't want to speak for all of the programs. You have to go and find the programs you want to go to, and they will list what they accept for direct patient contact hours. But those are some ideas to get the balls rolling in your head of what you want to do. Okay, the next thing to help you get set apart from other candidates, shadowing is not only mostly required by all the PA programs, it is something that you definitely should do. If you have not shadowed a PA and you think you want to be a PA, but you have not spent time shadowing a PA, not good. You need to shadow a PA. What a shame it would be to get all the way through this application process, or get into school and finish PA school and get into your job and realize, oh my goodness, this isn't what I want to do. I want to be in the more of a leadership role. I don't want to be the first assist in surgery. I want to be the surgeon. It would be a shame to get all the way through PA school and then realize it wasn't really what you were wanting. Please take some time to shadow PAs. Make sure that it's a good fit for you. Being a PA is not a fit for everybody. I talked a little bit about why I chose to be a PA over an MD in my last video, PA over MD, but it's not the path for everybody, and that's okay. Everyone's meant to lead their own role and their own path in life. But it's your responsibility to make that decision for you. It's nobody else's. It's up to you. So make sure that you're doing your homework and putting in your time to decide that that's actually what you want to do. So not only is shadowing recommended and mostly required for these PA programs, it's for your benefit. It's something that you should do. Now, once you start shadowing PAs, one of the questions I always get is, how can I find PAs to shadow? Ask. It's just that easy. There will be people who are sick of having students shadow. There will be people who are open to it. There will be people who are kind of closed off to it, but do it because they know they have to, but maybe they're not very nice about it. It doesn't matter. You have to get the shadowing in. You need to start doing some cold calls. You pick up the phone, you call doctor's offices, and you ask, I see that you have a PA that works there. Can you put me in contact with them? Can you ask them if I can spend some time shadowing? Can you have them call me? Can I have their email? You cold call and you ask as many people as possible, and you will find people who are willing to help you. We've all been there. I've not always been a PA. I was an undergraduate student, just like every other doctor or every other PA, and even all the doctors out there. They had to do shadowing, and every other nurse practitioner out there, all of them. They weren't always what they were now. They were undergraduate students at one point too, and sometimes they forget that. But there are a lot that remember that and who are willing to help you. So start asking. You just have to call and ask, okay? That's how you can start shadowing. And then once you start shadowing them, that will lead to great opportunities for you to really connect with them and find mentors within the PA profession, so that hopefully that one of those people can write you a letter of recommendation. I believe now CASPA requires that one of your letters be written by another PA. So where do you find them? If you're not lucky enough to know people or have people who know people, you cold call and you chase it. That's all you do. As far as volunteer goes, do you have to have volunteer hours? For a lot of places, no, you don't. But like I said, you want to make yourself a well-rounded candidate. You should be doing some volunteer work as an undergraduate student. There's time for it. You should find programs that interest you, things that are exciting to you. I participated in the Best Buddies program. I'm still great friends with the people that I met in that program. That was something that I really enjoyed doing, and it's still a big part of my life. So it's not only enhanced my life, but it also helped me get into PA school, but it enhanced my life a great deal. It helped me meet people and network in undergraduate. So you should be volunteering if you're not. And those experiences only make you a better candidate, but they make you a more well-rounded person and a better provider in the end. So you want to be doing some volunteer work, as little or as much as you want, but get involved in some degree. As far as leadership goes, do you have to have leadership experience? No, not necessarily, but as you start to get into these volunteering roles, there's leadership opportunities. Like I was the treasurer for the Best Buddies program. That's an example of a leadership role within a volunteering aspect. So, volunteer, leadership. Do you have to have lab experience? For most programs, for PA school, you don't. For medical school, lab experience is often required. Because I was going to go to medical school, I did have some lab experience. I spent about a year and a half in a lab studying the effects of high fructose corn syrup on mice. Field mice that would run up my leg and scare me half to death, and it was miserable, and I picked poop out of a little petri dish, and the stories go on. Do you have to have that? Not necessarily. Again, check the schools that you're applying to. Most of them will not require that, but if you happen to have the opportunity and it matches along with your education and your classes, you can do it. It's not required, but it's something that, let's say you have a really low GPA, but you're looking to really stand out. Maybe you find a really great undergraduate research program and get your work published so that you can include that when you go to apply. That would make you stand out, right? It's not required necessarily, but it would be a great thing to help your application look better. The GRE is a test that many PA schools will require. I applied to, I can't even remember how many PA schools, maybe 10, 7 to 10, I can't remember, but I did not take the GRE. I had other tests, but I did not take the GRE. There are many schools who will require it. So again, when you start making your list, you're going to see, do I need to take the GRE or do I not? If the schools that you are leaning towards, if your top schools, if your top 5 of the 10 that you've listed, or your top 10 of the 15 that you've listed require the GRE, probably should take the GRE. It just depends on where you're wanting to go to school and what their requirement is. Other schools will accept the MCAT. If you've taken the MCAT, they will accept the MCAT in place of the GRE. So it just depends on where you're at. The GRE is a much easier exam to study for than the MCAT. So if you haven't already taken the MCAT, don't put yourself to the torture of it. Just study for the GRE and kill the GRE. Just do very well on that, and don't put yourself to the torture of the MCAT, okay? But do you have to take the GRE? No, I'm a PA and I did not take the GRE. So I would say more schools than not do require you to take the GRE. So if I wouldn't have gotten in, I would have taken the GRE to broaden the number of schools that I could apply to. Let's see. Also, you're going to want to look for the deadlines for application. My recommendation to you is that you get your applications in as soon as possible. You want to be on the closer end to when it opens and on the last of the end, because there are schools that even though their close date isn't till December, they start interviewing in October, and they offer some seats to the candidates that they interview in October. So you don't want to be towards the end of that. You want to give yourself the best chance of getting into school, and the best chance is to apply early. So as soon as those applications open, get going, get them submitted. Don't procrastinate, get them in, okay? And when you go through and do your homework and find out your top 10 to 15 schools, that is also something that you're going to make a note of. This application deadline is this date, so that you're sure that you don't miss it. And you're also going to put open date here so that you're sure that you start applying right at the get-go. When you go to apply, the application list, the place that you apply is called CASPA. CASPA is the website that you will go to apply to PA school. It doesn't hurt for you to visit that now to see what it looks like and what the application process looks like. In that application process, it's where you will be putting in your application that will be sent out to all of the different PA schools. With the exception of a couple of schools. When I was applying, again, it was several years ago, but Stanford was not part of CASPA. There are a few programs that don't go through CASPA, so make sure you look into that. But the majority of the schools, I would say, 90+% of them go through CASPA. So it's easy, it's a one shot and done. So it's where you put in all your information, all of your letters of recommendation will be electronically submitted through there. You have to have 3. Again, I believe one of them has to be from another PA, or APA, because you're not a PA at that point. And all of your transcripts will be submitted through there, your direct patient contact hours, your leadership experience, research, whatever else you have, you'll list it and talk about it there. Your letter, your personal statement letter, which I did a video on that too. I forgot about that. I did a video on writing a personal statement letter. So that will also go through your CASPA website. And that's how you apply. So hopefully I've gone through everything that you guys have asked me to. I'm just looking over to see if there's anything else I wanted to mention that I didn't. Well, hopefully that helps you. This video is going to be long, over 20 minutes. So if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. Hopefully that helps you to start and find motivation to get going. I sure wish that I would have known right from the start of college or even in high school that I wanted to be a PA, but I didn't, and that's okay. And if you're just kind of figuring that out now, don't lose hope. You're still a good candidate, and if you have a low GPA, I don't want you to feel like you can't apply to PA school. You can, absolutely. If your GPA isn't a 3.5, if it's a 3.0, there are some schools that accept lower than that. Even though Western U, I read you that the average was a 3.57, I think that they even accept applicants that have a 2.7 or higher GPA. So if you have a killer application and you have all of these other great things about you and maybe you didn't do good in a couple classes, still apply. And if you don't get in and your GPA is low, the fastest and best way to up your GPA is to retake classes that you did not do well in. It's really hard to increase your GPA just by taking more and more and more classes. The best way is to retake the classes that you did not do a very good job. Like I had to retake organic chemistry. I think I got a C in it the first time, and while that's acceptable, it was killing my GPA. So I had to retake organic chemistry. I hated that class, but I had to retake it. So if there are instances like that where there's a course that you did not do well in, retake it, and here's the important part. When you retake it, get an A. Kill it. When you retake it, do whatever you need to get an A the next time. Hire a tutor. Have it be the only class you take. Whatever you have to do. Don't waste your time retaking a class to get the same grade or just a little bit better. You have to significantly improve that grade or it looks worse. That's all the tips that I have for you. If there are any more questions, you know where to contact me. My Instagram account is @Here'sToHealthyWomen. My Snapchat is my name, Breelyn, Breelyn, and then V-A-N, B as in Victor, A-N. That's my Snapchat name. was my personal account, and now I'm kind of using it for both, so you can find me there. My email is breelynvan@gmail.com, and my website is www.herestohealthywomen.com, and the information will all be down below, so you can find it there easily as well. Best of luck to you. I'm so proud of you for getting to this point and making such great decisions with your life. I wish you all the best. Let me know if you have any questions, okay? See you. Bye-bye.